Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're taking a closer look at a story that feels familiar on the surface, but hits very differently once you hear what's really being shared. In this video, we're diving into Michaela Keilen's latest update about the two boys who have been part of her life for nearly a year, and the emotional truth she's finally putting into words. For a long time, people have known about the foster journey, but what hasn't always been clear is just how deep that bond has grown behind the scenes. Now, Michael is opening up in a way that reveals not just the daily moments, but the weight of what it all means moving forward. This isn't just about caring for two children, it's about loving them fully while knowing there may come a day she has to let them go. And the way she talks about that possibility changes everything about how this story feels. So let's get into it and see what Michael shared, because this time, it's more personal than ever. In a space where family content often feels quick, polished, and easy to scroll past, Michaela Keilen's latest update stands out for a completely different reason. It does not begin with a big announcement or a carefully staged moment. Instead, it opens with something simple and familiar, a quiet snapshot of real life in motion. While on a family drive, Michael casually shares, "We're taking a family day trip and have about 2 hours in the car." That single line sets the tone for everything that follows. What starts as a light question box slowly unfolds into something much deeper, revealing a side of family life that feels honest, layered, and emotionally grounded without ever trying too hard. As questions begin to come in, Michael gently introduces the two boys who have become such an important part of their daily life. When asked if they are related, she confirms, yes, they are brothers. It is a simple answer, but it carries weight because it immediately establishes a bond that goes beyond circumstance. These are not just two children placed together. They are connected in a way that naturally shapes their relationship. From there, Michael does something that feels especially intentional. She does not keep things at the level of basic facts. Instead, she begins to share who they are as individuals, allowing their personalities to come forward in a way that feels personal and sincere. When it comes to their ages, she keeps it just as straightforward, saying, "The oldest is 4 and the baby is almost 1. Even in its simplicity, that detail paints a clear picture. These are two completely different stages of childhood unfolding under the same roof. One child is already exploring the world with curiosity and independence, while the other is still discovering it step by step." Without over-explaining, Michael gives enough context for anyone reading to understand the rhythm of their home. It is not about dramatic storytelling. It is about letting small, accurate details do the work, and that approach makes everything feel more real. The most memorable part of her update comes when she describes their personalities. Michael writes, "I don't know if two boys could be any more different. The 4-year-old is energetic, curious, independent, hands-on, and loves anything that drives and has a wheel. The baby is cuddly, gentle, very laid back, loves to observe, and his favorite toys are balls. They love each other very much, and watching them interact is simply adorable." There is something incredibly telling about the way she notices these details. This is not a surface-level description. It reflects time spent, attention given, and a genuine connection that has grown over months. The contrast between the two boys feels vivid, but what stands out even more is the warmth in how she talks about them. It is clear that these are not just observations. They are moments she has truly lived. From that point on, it becomes obvious that Michael does not see these boys as a temporary responsibility. The way she speaks carries a sense of care that feels steady and intentional. When she mentions how much joy comes from watching them interact, it highlights something deeper than just daily routine. It shows how attachment quietly forms over time, through ordinary moments that start to mean everything. There is no exaggeration in her tone. She does not need to build the emotion. It is already there, woven into the way she tells the story. As the conversation shifts toward the future, the tone naturally deepens. When asked about the possibility of adoption, Michael responds with careful honesty. She says, "If the opportunity ever presented itself, we would absolutely give them a forever home. Our focus right now is providing them a safe and loving home while their parents try to get the help that they need. That balance is what makes her answer stand out. She acknowledges the hope that exists, but she does not ignore the reality of the situation. There is a clear respect for the boy's biological parents and the process they are going through. Michael does not center herself in the story. Instead, she keeps the focus on what is best for the children, and that choice gives her words even more weight. What makes this part especially compelling is how grounded it feels. There is no attempt to turn the situation into something dramatic or attention-grabbing. Michael speaks with a level of restraint that makes everything feel more authentic. She understands that fostering is not about claiming a future, but about showing up fully in the present. That perspective shapes the entire tone of her responses. It is not about ownership. It is about care, stability, and being there in the moments that matter most. As she reflects on the past year, Michael begins to share more about how the boys have grown. She talks about the older child developing a love for reading and enjoying trips to the library, while the baby is learning to stand and take his first steps. These are small milestones, but they carry significance because they show progress. They show change. More importantly, they show that Michael has been present for it all. She is not observing from a distance. She is part of the journey, noticing each step along the way and valuing it for what it is. At one point, Michael openly acknowledges that fostering is not always easy. She writes, "Fostering is such an emotional roller coaster. One of the most encouraging things on the hard days is remembering where the boys came from and how far they have come on their healing journey." This is where the story shifts again, moving into a more reflective space. The mention of a healing journey adds depth without going into unnecessary detail. It hints at a past that required care, patience, and time, while keeping the focus on growth rather than hardship. Michael chooses to highlight progress, and that decision shapes how the entire experience is understood. Support from those around them also plays a role in this journey. Michael shares how meaningful it has been to receive encouragement, prayers, and messages from family and their church community. It is a reminder that experiences like this are rarely carried alone. There is a network of people behind the scenes offering strength in quiet ways. By acknowledging that support, Michael broadens the story beyond her own household. It becomes less about one family and more about a shared effort to create stability and care. The most emotional moment arrives when the conversation turns to the possibility of saying goodbye. Michael does not avoid the question, and she does not soften the truth. She writes, "I think saying goodbye will quite possibly be the hardest thing we ever do in life, but we hope and pray that the love we have given them will be something they carry for a lifetime. These darling boys have changed our lives forever, and for the rest of our days we will pray for them and thank God that we got to be a part of their journey." It is a deeply honest statement, one that acknowledges both love and loss at the same time. There is no attempt to resolve that tension. Instead, Michael allows both realities to exist side by side. In the end, Michaela Keilen's update works because it never tries to be more than it is. It stays grounded, honest, and deeply personal from beginning to end. There is no need for dramatic framing or exaggerated emotion. The strength of the story comes from its sincerity and the way it unfolds naturally. Through simple answers and thoughtful reflections, Michael shows that family life is not always defined by permanence. Sometimes it is defined by presence, by care, and by the willingness to love without knowing how the story will end. And that's a wrap on this latest update from Michaela Keilen. So what do you think about the way she shared her journey this time? Especially the part about loving fully even without knowing what comes next. Let us know your thoughts in the comments, because this is one of those stories that really stays with you. Do you think this kind of openness changes how people understand fostering and family life? Don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more real, emotional stories like this. Thanks so much for watching and for being part of this conversation. And we'll see you in the next video.